Aloha and good afternoon. The trial of the man accused in a brutal sex assault in his Honolulu condo continues, with the victim taking the stand today.
That's right. We're not naming her or showing her face. She was accompanied by a translator as they questioned her in court today.
When was it that you exchanged phone numbers in relation to your talking about getting your nails done and going to the movies?
Prosecutors asked the victim to describe meeting Michael Hirokawa at a Hostess bar in Honolulu. They say the woman who was visiting from Illinois drove him home after a night of drinks at the bar and at a Yonge Street office, and that Hirokawa allegedly sexually assaulted her in his apartment after. Hirokawa's attorneys argued that the victim drugged him and that he doesn't remember much of the details of what happened that night. The 34-year-old Iolani graduate has been charged with second-degree attempted murder, kidnapping, and sex assault. We will have much more from the trial in later editions of Hawaii News Now coming up later.
This just in, we've learned the motorcyclist involved in a crash this morning in Wahiawa has died. Honolulu police said the 23-year-old man was traveling northbound on Vilikina Drive when he broadsided a vehicle that was exiting a residential area. EMS transported the man to the hospital in critical condition, where he later died from his injuries. Police said he was wearing a helmet at the time of the crash. Authorities said the driver, who is also 23, suffered minor injuries but refused treatment at the scene. HPD says it appears that speed was a factor, but it's unknown if alcohol or drugs were. This marked Oahu's 25th traffic fatality this year, compared to 18 during the same time last year. The Maui Police Department released body camera footage showing the moments before officers shot and killed a man with a 2-foot-long machete on Molokai.
Don't do it. Put it down now. Tano, I don't want to kill you today. Put it down.
The family of 40-year-old Nathaniel Naki says he was bipolar. MPD says a relative called police for help Sunday morning, saying he was acting erratically. Police said they told Naki more than 70 times to drop the machete. An officer also deployed his taser, but it didn't work. They say Naki came within 2 arms lengths of the officers, and that's when they fired their guns.
Being an officer is not easy. You make split-second decisions on dynamic situations.
Officials say they are not releasing the second body camera video at this point because the investigation is ongoing and they're trying to minimize the impact on Naki's family. Robert Dora is charged with sexually assaulting a girl under the age of 16 on Kauai. KPD says the 37-year-old fled to Ohio after the alleged attack back in February at the Brian J. Baptiste Sports Complex in Kapa'a. Ohio police arrested Dora and extradited him back to Kauai in April. He's now in custody at KCCC. Dora is also accused of exposing himself to another girl on the same day of the assault. Trial for the alleged assault is scheduled for July 3rd. His bail is set at $1 million.
Now to a Hawaii News Now exclusive. 2 former high school football stars, now making headlines at the college level, have settled a civil lawsuit accusing them of sexual assault. Court records show the incident happened on the campus of St. Louis School. Chief investigative reporter Lynn Kawano breaks down the case, but first a warning, some of the details may be upsetting.
The girl was 16 years old when she says the rapes happened. The court filing names her, but we will not, as part of a practice that we don't reveal the identities of sex assault victims.
October 27, 2018. The St. Louis Crusaders beat Punahou for the ILH title at Aloha Stadium. Leading the offense, quarterback Jaden DeLaura. On defense, making big plays was Kamoi Latu. But it was off the field that night that the boys' actions became criminal, according to a civil lawsuit that was first filed in December 2021. The most recent complaint, filed Tuesday, describes what the victims said happened after the game. According to the court records, the girl was an acquaintance of Jaden DeLaura. She went to Aloha Stadium with her mom and a friend and brought lei. They were told that supporters would have to drive to St. Louis School after the game to present the lei. They did, but before leaving St. Louis School, The complaint continues. Suddenly, the girl received a text message from Delora demanding to know where she was and summoning her back to the second floor stairwell. He said he needed to talk to her, so she went to the stairwell while the others waited in the car. The court records say Delora demanded the girl engage in sex with both players simultaneously, immediately, which she refused. The document graphically details what the girl told police. The boys physically overpowered her, were forcing her, holding her head, pushing it down as she was sobbing uncontrollably with fear. The records also say Delora was choking her to gain her cooperation. After it was all over, the victim walked back to the car. The documents continue, saying text messages she turned over to police show Delora admitted that he and Latu had sexually assaulted her and eventually apologized. The criminal case was handled in juvenile court. According to the civil complaint, the boys were charged with and eventually pleaded guilty to sex assault too. No date is listed in the document, which says neither received any jail time. The lawsuit against both boys, their families, and the school cites assault, false imprisonment, and negligence.
It's down inside the 10 or on the 6-yard line.
Jaden Delora is the starting quarterback for the University of Arizona. It's believed he's made hundreds of thousands of dollars through the name, image, and likeness policy. His attorney did not return my calls for comment. Kamoi Latu is a starting safety for the University of Wisconsin. Both boys and their families recently agreed to settle the civil case, nearly 5 years after the assault. The settlement amount is not being revealed because of a non-disclosure agreement. Latu's attorney is Michael Green.
In my view, this case was better not to be tried, not because I was afraid for my client. I mean, he's in college and he's doing well at Wisconsin. So I thought for closure for him, some closure certainly for this young woman. We just wanted my client to go on with his life, let her go on with her life.
Green says the settlement is not an admission of guilt. He would not comment on the juvenile criminal case. St. Louis School is fighting the lawsuit, which accuses the school of not providing adequate security on the night of the championship game. The institution's attorney also did not return our request for comment, but in a court filing denied the allegations and asked a judge to dismiss the case. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Hawaii County Police have identified the woman killed in a gruesome murder in Orchidland Estates as Terry Apple. Authorities said she was murdered last Friday at a home on 38th Avenue. An autopsy revealed the 58-year-old died as a result of, quote, multiple chop wounds and sharp forced injuries. Police arrested Christopher Howland after they found him with a large blood-covered sword next to him. They said he also had visible injuries to his hands and he was wearing bloody clothes. He has not been charged yet. On Oahu, police are searching for a man accused of trying to lure a young girl into a car near He'ia Elementary School in Kaneohe. The school says a parent reported seeing the incident along Alaloa Street at around 7:45 a.m. yesterday. The parent immediately intervened and safely escorted the student to campus. Officials say he then drove off. If you have any information, please call Crime Stoppers.
The alleged gunman in a deadly medical office shooting in Atlanta has waived his first court appearance. Investigators are trying to figure out his motive for the shooting that left one woman dead and 4 others injured. Michael George reports from New York.
Jail records show 24-year-old Dion Patterson is charged with 1 count of murder and 4 counts of aggravated assault. He's accused of opening fire Wednesday at a medical office in Atlanta, killing 39-year-old CDC employee Amy St. Pierre and wounding 4 other women.
Why he did what he did, all that is still under an investigation.
A law enforcement source told CBS News the Coast Guard veteran was in a waiting room in the Northside Hospital medical facility when he became agitated, took out a handgun, and started shooting. Some people in the building had no idea what was going on.
We didn't know what the poppy noise was, so originally we just ignored it.
Patterson's mother, who was with him yesterday, told CBS affiliate WANF that her son suffers from mental illness. Atlanta's mayor is calling for a national plan to deal with guns and mental health.
We have a national epidemic on gun violence in America. Other nations have challenges with mental health, but they don't seem to have nearly the level of gun violence that we do in America.
Jail records also show the suspect used a semi-automatic handgun. The 4 wounded women range in age from 25 to 71. Michael George, CBS News.
A jury has found 4 members of the far-right group, the Proud Boys, guilty of seditious conspiracy. This is the 3rd time prosecutors have secured convictions for that charge against those who breached the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Defendants Ethan Nordine, Joseph Biggs, Zachary Rell, Enrique Tario, and Dominic Pizzola face a range of charges for their roles in the insurrection. Pizzola was the only one the jury could not reach a verdict for, the seditious conspiracy charge. Unlike the other defendants, he did not seem to have a leadership role in the Proud Boys and was inactive in the group chats.
The long-awaited memorial for the victims of the 2016 Pulse nightclub shooting won't be built at the site of the gruesome attack after negotiations with the club owners broke down. Liv Johnson reports.
How low do you have to sink? People died here.
Orlando City Commissioner Patty Sheehan says it was like an arrow through her heart when she found out the Pulse Memorial, which has been in the works for 7 years, will not be built where the tragedy happened.
Their children, their friends died here. They have every right to be honored in an appropriate way.
The One Pulse Foundation announced Tuesday that for months they were negotiating with Pulse nightclub owners Barbara and Rosario Poma, seeking to have them donate the property. The foundation went on to say the negotiations are over and the owners have refused. Barbara Poma was the founder and executive director of the One Pulse Foundation before parting ways with the organization last month. The city of Orlando offered the Pomas $2.3 million for the nightclub site in 2016. Commissioner Sheehan says at the time, the Pomas declined the offer because they wanted to be in charge of making the memorial.
And to hear today, 7 years later, that they've bled this foundation dry and they're not going to do the right thing doesn't just break my heart, it makes me angry.
Local leaders are reacting. Orange County Mayor Jerry Deming said in a statement, quote, "I trust in the wisdom of the One Pulse Foundation to do what is best for the organization. I know the foundation will continue to work to uplift the community and support those directly affected by the tragedy." In a statement, Pulse nightclub shooting survivor Brandon Wolf said in part, quote, "Disappointing is an understatement. The situation is unacceptable and a slap in the face to a community that has been through an immense amount of grief and pain over the last 7 years." He continues by saying, quote, "The only appropriate use for it is a respectful memorial site that is open to the public, free of charge." Liv Johnson, WESH 2 News.
Democrats are strengthening their call for ethics reform at the Supreme Court as the controversy surrounding Justice Clarence Thomas grows. ProPublica reports a GOP megadonor paid thousands of dollars in boarding school tuition for Thomas's grandnephew, of whom Thomas had legal custody. ProPublica cites a court filing showing the megadonor, Harlan Crow, wired $6,200 to Hidden Lakes Academy in 2009. The ledger is labeled with the name of Thomas's grandnephew, Mark Martin. The amount is the same as monthly tuition that year, and a former school administrator says Crow paid for all of Martin's education. ProPublica's reporting suggests Crow might have also paid for Martin to attend his alma mater, Randolph-Macon Academy in Virginia. That means the total could top $150,000, although Martin tells the outlet Thomas paid for at least some of his schooling. In a statement, Crow's team neither confirmed nor denies the payment, but says he sometimes supports the education of at-risk youth. ProPublica says Thomas didn't provide a comment, but he has said he didn't know how to report luxury trips Crow subsidized.
Russian forces attacked several Ukrainian cities in retaliation for a drone attack on the Kremlin yesterday. They believe the target was President Vladimir Putin, and now a top Russian official is blaming the U.S. for the attack. Nicole D'Antonio has the latest.
Overnight, Russian forces unleashed a wave of drone attacks on several Ukrainian cities. Ukrainian air defense officials say they destroyed more than a dozen, including those headed towards Kyiv. The latest assault on the war-torn country followed an alleged double drone strike on the Kremlin, which Russia claims targeted President Putin.
Extraordinary inflammatory statements by the Kremlin.
John Sullivan is the former U.S. ambassador to Russia.
This could be the Russian government doing it itself to rally the Russian nationalists who are disappointed, I think it's fair to say, with how the war in Ukraine has gone to date.
A top Russian official is now accusing the U.S. of masterminding the drone attack, criticizing its continued assistance for Ukraine.
One thing I can tell you for certain is that the United States was not involved in this. Ukraine's fighting for its life. They're fighting to defend their territory. And we and so many other nations are doing the best we can to help them do that.
Some forces in Moscow are now calling for the direct targeting of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky himself. Earlier Thursday, Zelensky made an unannounced visit to the International Criminal Court in the Netherlands, calling on President Putin to be brought to justice for war crimes.
We all want to see different Vladimir here, the one who deserves to be sentenced for these criminal actions.
In an ominous sign of more trouble ahead, a curfew has been declared in the Ukrainian city of Kherson through the weekend. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Washington.
Here at home, firefighters are battling a raging brush fire on Hawaii Island. The Hawaii Fire Department said the blaze has been burning since about 2 p.m. yesterday. Flames broke out in the Pa'awilo area on the north side of Pohakea Road. Authorities said the area is difficult to reach, so water drops are being conducted. At last check, the fire charred about a half acre of eucalyptus trees. Authorities tell Hawaii News Now Pa'awilo Recycling and Transfer Station in Hamakua remains closed.
We want to give you some breaking news just into the digital center regarding one of the stories that you just heard a few moments ago.
Yeah, we have an update to Lynn Kawano's story on the two former St. Louis football players who have settled a civil lawsuit accusing them of sex assault. Now, the University of Wisconsin has responded to our request for comment on Kamoi Latu. The school's communications department says Latu remains a member of the Wisconsin football team. It says at the time of Latu's enrollment, the matter being reported involving Latu was not known to athletics officials, and they say they became aware of the civil suit last fall. Now, the university says, based on the information available, the matter does not violate the school's student-athlete discipline policy, university misconduct policy, or reporting or disclosure requirements.
Once again, we got that statement just moments ago, and we'll be updating our stories online to reflect this new information. For now, let's send you out over to Hilo. This is a live look. It's a beautiful day out there. For more on your island weather, let's send it over to our guy Hagi.
But the big thing is that big stormy disturbance is moving away and pulling away. And behind it, we will have some passing showers, mainly for those windward areas. Because of the breezy winds, though, flooding will not be an issue because the winds will be pushing the showers along at a good pace. So rainfall buildups will be minimal. So we will have those breezy trade winds all the way through the weekend. And that means more of those passing showers, mainly in the early morning and overnight hours. By the middle of the day, we'll see lots of sunshine. And then on Monday, things look up pretty good. The winds actually ease up a little bit, but they will be nice and steady. And we're going to have fewer showers actually starting on Monday. And then on Tuesday, winds bump up just a short while before really backing off on Wednesday. But that's still a long stretch of the best weather on the planet.
Well, it's game day for the UH Rainbow Warrior men's volleyball team. The Bows are set to take on Penn State in the NCAA semifinals. Our Kyle Chernin is in Virginia and takes us to the team's hotel for the fan send-off.
Aloha, guys. Coming to you from UH's team hotel, where the Volley Bows were met with a sea of green. UH fans flooded the hotel lobby to greet the team as they head onto the bus. Many of the Warrior faithful telling me they've been here in Fairfax all week, just excited to see their beloved Bows begin their quest for another national title.
We are very excited. Can't wait to see them play again. We want to make sure they are 3 times national championship.
It's so exciting because my daughter plays volleyball. So I've been living in the volleyball community, and to cheer my local team on, it's great.
The team now heading to the Eagle Bank Arena for their rematch with Penn State tonight, except this time around, it's first spot in the national championship. First serve is set for 1:30 Hawaii time, 7:30 local time, and I'll have all the highlights coming up in our evening editions of Hawaii News Now. I've got to head to the Eagle Bank Arena. For now, reporting in Fairfax, Virginia, Kyle Chernin, Hawaii News Now.
Time to take a look at what the internet is talking about and from the feeds. And of course, it's Coronation Week. And we're now getting images of the Gold State coach that Charles and the Queen Consort Camilla Parker Bowles will ride in for the coronation procession. The procession will take place after Charles and Camilla travel from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. The coach was last seen during the Platinum Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II in June of last year. It was first used by King George III to travel to the opening of Parliament in 1762. The coach has been used at every coronation since William IV in 1831.
Londoners got the chance to ride like King Charles when a replica of the coach used for royal coronations popped up in a South London park. Charles will be crowned at Westminster Abbey in a ceremony full of pomp, pageantry, and solemn religious significance on Saturday after he became monarch of the United Kingdom and 14 other realms following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth. Those lucky enough to secure a spot on the 20-minute ride said the coach had even managed to replicate the famously bumpy feel of the real thing. The coach was made available by Uber, whose UK manager says the company has done everything it could to make the coach as close a replica as possible.
And another fascinating component of the coronation is the Stone of Destiny. It's now on a historic journey from Scotland. The Stone of Destiny left Edinburgh Castle Friday and is headed to Westminster Abbey. It will be installed in the chair where King Charles will sit for his coronation on May 6. The Stone of Destiny is a slab of sandstone that weighs more than 300 pounds. It, along with the coronation chair, have been used to crown English monarchs for hundreds of years. And the stone's exact origins are unknown, but historians say it was taken from Scotland in 1296 by King Edward I, and it wasn't returned until 1996. But now the stone is heading back to England temporarily for the coronation. I am so excited about the coronation, Ashley. What about you?
I just looked it up, Dylan, because you and I were wondering if Harry and Meghan were going.
Yeah.
So the internet says Harry will go, but Meghan and the two children will remain in California.
As we all know, the royal drama has been unfolding
That
there.
is right. Well, time for some good news, you guys. Hasbro is revamping 3 of its iconic board games for older adults. And I don't know what they mean by older adults, but I feel targeted here. So the toy giant is introducing new versions of Scrabble, Trivial Pursuit, and the Game of Life. So the company unveiled the retooled versions, and each game has been reimagined to make the experience more appealing and easier for seniors. So that includes bigger game pieces that are easier to grasp and, of course, see, larger wording on the boards, and content that's more relatable to an older demographic. Because you got to update those trivia questions.
Yeah. We love that. Also, too, making it kupuna friendly. You know, they love to play board games. Got to keep them active somehow.
Absolutely. I love Scrabble. One of my favorites.
My grandma beats me at Scrabble like constantly. Her and her triple word scores.
Yeah, it's all about the triple words.
Yeah, do not mess with grandma because she will obliterate you on Scrabble.
I like how they're also revamping like game shows, bringing them back.
Bringing them back.
Password.
For sure.
Yeah.
We also want to remind you that graduation season is coming up. We have a full list of the graduation ceremonies posted on HawaiiNewsNow.com. But the first one, the largest one, of course, is always Mililani High School. Theirs is happening on May 16th at the Stan Sheriff Center.
It's that time of year.
Yep. Congratulations to all the graduates. Thanks for tuning in to This Is Now.